Alright, so today we're going to go ahead and remove the differential because I pretty much decided, you know what, we're just going to go ahead and weld it right now. I'm not going to wait anymore. We're going to pull it out today and then we're going to get it welded. And when we got the differential welded, we're also going to try and fix the exhaust so I can weld the entire straight pipe back on because it was kind of, I don't know, I'll show you guys right now. So basically the car came with a straight pipe on it. It was pretty much straight back from the header, and how it was set up, there was a piece of metal. It came with this piece of metal welded to the bottom of the header on the single cam KA. I went ahead and cut it off, and I'm going to go ahead and have someone weld it onto the header of the dual cam KA. And then the bottom of this, just like a 2.5 inch, I think, and that will just hook up to the straight pipe. So we're going to pull the diff out so we can weld it up, because right now we have the open diff, so that's really no good for drifting. So we're just going to pull it out and see what we can do. So what we got here is our differential. It's completely an open diff. When you spin one side of it, the other one spins in the opposite direction, which pretty much means it's an open differential. So we're going to go ahead, open it up, get differential fluid everywhere, and then try and weld it up so we can do some super great drifts everywhere. So now we're just going to go ahead and remove the fluid from the differential. I'm going to try and drain it out of this drain plug or fill plug here as much as I can, and then we'll unbolt it and make a massive mess, but I'm try and get as much of the fluid out through here as I can.
Here we go.
So we just pulled the differential open and it looks pretty nice in here. There's like no worn off teeth or anything. And when I pulled out the drain cap and everything, there were like no metal shavings anywhere. Or maybe there are some in here. I don't know. It doesn't seem too major. I mean, it looks nice. I pretty much see what we got to weld up in here. It's pretty simple. But before we weld it up, of course, we're going to have to clean it out, because if we don't, the differential fluid, whatever it is, this stuff is the gear oil. It's just going to catch on fire, and we probably don't want that to happen. So we're going to go ahead and clean this very well, get everything out of here so we can weld it up without starting a fire. So I just took this brake part cleaner and sprayed it all in here, and it pretty much cleaned everything out. Like there's like no liquid left in here at all, so it shouldn't catch fire when we start welding it up, which is pretty nice. I did use probably an excessive amount. I pretty much used like 3/4 of a can. I just had it sitting around, so I decided to use it because I don't really clean brakes, but whatever. So it's all cleaned up. It's pretty much ready to be welded. So all the fluid's out of the differential, and it kind of smells weird. Probably shouldn't be smelling it this much, but just something I noticed. So the other day I had someone come out to do some welding for me because I really don't know how to weld. I don't have a welder, any of that stuff. So I just got this welded up, and this is pretty much just the exhaust system. When I got the car, it had this little like dump pipe thing on the bottom of the header, and I cut the one off the single cam header, and then I had the welder weld it back onto this flange that was connected to the down pipe to the cat on the dual cam exhaust manifold. At the end of the day, I probably could have just disconnected it from something. It was very complicated, but at the end of the day, this is what we've got. I had him weld it onto this flange. So this is completely removable from the header because on the other motor it was completely welded straight onto the header, which kind of is a pain because you can't really remove it. So we've got this. It's very nice. He did a great job welding it. So I can pretty much just bolt this onto the header when I'm ready to put it in. And because I'm a complete idiot, when I was trying to remove all the old exhaust stuff from the car, even though I put it in, I don't remember how I put it in, but when I was trying to get it out, nothing would fit. So I pretty much just took my cutoff wheel and cut everything off. And I ended up cutting off one of these, whatever these are called, these studs on the bottom of the exhaust manifold. I kind of like broke it off right where it needs to be threaded. Like you can see, there's 1, 2, and there's a really short one over here, which is kind of funny because this is like the only one that I think it's actually going to be difficult to remove the stud on, just because like the O2 sensor's like right here, and it's like kind of a pain. The other ones you could just like get them out here, but whatever, we'll figure it out eventually. And I mean, I think if we have 2/3 of the bolts, we'll be fine. So this is what the manifold looks like when it's hooked up to the downpipe thing. You can see I got this EGR plug thing here a while ago, which is very nice. And then I took out the O2 sensor, which would go right here. And then on the factory downpipe thing, there was like some emissions thing, but that's gone now, and it was kind of just a pain because I didn't really have it in my car. And there was kind of just like a hole in the exhaust manifold, so that's kind of why it sounded weird, at least to me. I don't even know if that was what the problem was, but there was like a hole the size of the O2 sensor in the manifold, and I couldn't really plug it up. I tried to shove a bolt in it, but it was kind of just leaking out, and it's better now that it's just all nice and clean. So we're going to go ahead and throw this back in, and then we're going to go pick up a new exhaust gasket, so then we'll be able to hook up our entire straight pipe under the car, so we'll actually have a real exhaust system, which is very exciting. And this is really heavy. Oh my gosh, cast iron is pretty heavy. Is it raining? What? And this is pretty much what I'm most excited about. Finally got the Diff welded. Differential is now welded completely. It's very nice. The person I hired to weld it did a very good job. It's all nice and welded and everything, and it's, yeah, there's lots of weld in there. And like they went all the way back on the gear, so this is definitely not gonna give out at some point. It's just, there's just tiny pieces of like residue from the welding, like stuff goes everywhere, and there's like little pieces of metal everywhere. And I'm gonna have to try and get those out because like just spinning it, like you can see, there's like small specks in the bottom. So we're definitely gonna want to try and take those out before we put the cover back on and the diff back in the car. So that's gonna be the next project on here. Like it's just, they're like little pieces of weld everywhere, and like I can just make them fall off with my finger. So they'd obviously fall off and get stuck in the gears and like wear them down. And that's definitely not what we want, so we're going to clean this thing out, and then we'll be able to throw it back in the car. Alright, so I was just going ahead and bolting the exhaust back in, and then I realized it would be impossible to put the differential back in, or it would be much more difficult if I put the exhaust in before I put the diff in. And I'm still waiting on a few things for the diff in the mail, so that looks good. So I'm going to go ahead and not bolt the exhaust in. I have just one of the exhaust hangers here hooked on, and I unhooked it at the other end where it comes out of the manifold, so it will be able to move around. So when I put the diff in, we'll be good to go. And once we put the diff in, then we'll be able to bolt the exhaust up and see how it goes. So when I got the car, it originally came with this straight pipe, as many of you will know, and I of course did the motor swap, and now, or after I did the motor swap, I pretty much just put the cap back on because it was like hooked up to the headers and everything, and I just left it all as one piece. I figured I'd get a catback exhaust or something, I don't know. But since then, I just decided to go full straight pipe again. So, right now the exhaust is pretty much header and then to that downpipe little piece, and then it goes down to the ground where it would hook up to the straight pipe that goes all the way to the back of the car. And I kind of just want to see what it would sound like without any of this hooked up, like pretty much just dumping straight out of the downpipe. So I'm going to turn the car on and see how it sounds.